whereas each topic is a distribution of words, each document is a distribution of topics. So that's how you make the little fingerprint of the document. Jesus. And that's how they compare them to see how similar they are. They're like, it's 30% topic 1, 20% topic 2, 12% topic 3, and so on. And then it'll just do that for all the documents. And then that's how they can see how similar they are.
So this is why you've been awake for 4 days. This is what you've been doing this entire time?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How is your brain functioning right now?
Right now, my brain is decent. I think it's made a little bit of a recovery. Oh, it was hurting so bad. It was slow, and my eyes hurt, and head hurt, and vision was looking weird, and it was just like slurry. Like when I was reading stuff, it felt slurry.
Yeah.
And, my stomach, I was getting all nauseous, and that's when I knew I had to sleep finally.
Yeah. For the people listening that don't know, tell us about yourself. What do you do? Who are you? I know who you are. I know you make the best fucking hand sanitizer I've ever used.
Yeah. Coronavirus. Thanks to that, a little bit of innovation in the face of problems.
Joe has home crafted this hand sanitizer that literally, it's better than any lotion, and it also sanitizes, keeps you nice and not dry.
Shout out the ingredient list if you want to make it at home. I didn't want to go to the store to buy some hand sanitizer. I heard they were all out, so I was like, well, I'm going to find out how to make some. I looked up a couple recipes. I saw the stuff in my house, and then I kind of winged it and made my own. I did some witch hazel. I used some witch hazel. That has some good disinfectant properties. It's not like alcohol. It comes from a plant, but it's still a natural disinfectant. It's also good as like a facial cleanser. What do they call it? Not conditioner. What do you do to your face? Exfoliate, but
cleaner. I've used that before. It's an astringent, I think.
Astringent is the word, yeah. Toner, that's the word, toner. Yeah.
Like your printer?
Yeah. Is
that a witch hazel?
Witch hazel and some blueberry dyes, different dyes.
Wait, is that what toner actually does in a printer? It like cleans shit? I never knew.
I don't know.
We gotta look that up.
Yeah. That's for another podcast.
Fuck printers, by the way. I hate printers.
Yeah. They're hard to find right now.
They're hard to find. They're annoying to use. They always fucking break. They're super expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe, who are you? Tell the people.
Wait. Hand sanitizer first. So it's witch hazel, and then you add your tea tree essential oil because that has antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral properties. You add a good bit of that. And then you add some lavender. That has some possible antimicrobial activity, but it's also good for the smell. Mm-hmm. You add some castor oil because that's going to get it good and moisturized so you're not drying out your hands.
What is castor oil?
I think it's...
Sounds like something you'd put in a car.
Yeah, it does, but it's not. It's from I think it's like a nut or something I don't know, but it's like a thicker oil.
Yeah.
For you can put in your hair, your hands. Like it's a moisturizer. And then what else? Aloe. I have an aloe plant, and I cut off a couple leaves of those because that's classic. You see that in all the moisturizers.
That's
like
probably
a little
why
bit of
it
aloe
feels
vera.
so nice.
Yeah. And it kind of gave it a purple color, which I wasn't expecting.
The aloe?
Actually, the aloe, because when the cell, I guess when it dies, like it starts to turn purple. And they do something in the normal hand sanitizer to keep it clear, which is weird. But I like the look. It gives it a good, cool purple color.
Yeah.
I was kind of worried at first because I like put it on my hands and I had like a little cut and there was like a little blood and I thought somehow I got the blood into it and that was what was coloring it. I was like, no, and because it was only a couple like drops at first that were kind of that purple color. And I was like, is that my blood? Did I really mess up this whole hand sanitizer and contaminate it with my blood? But then it all turned purple.
You gotta make a big batch.
Yeah, I wanted to take it into the lab and see how effective it was at like killing bacteria to put like some sort of, I don't know, evidence behind it. But I mean,
right.
There is research on witch hazel, tea tree, and their antimicrobial activity.
Right, because everyone was saying you need a certain percent alcohol for your hand sanitizer to work, right?
Yeah. But I did a lot of that stuff. Like those were like the main proportional ingredient. Well, essential oil is concentrated, so you don't put a lot by volume. But like, and then the aloe, and then a little jojoba.
But even if not, like if you have to use Purell and then use that after, your hands wouldn't get dry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A little 1-2 punch.
True. It's nice.
So what else do you do? You're a grad student,
currently,
right?
I'm a grad student, a master's student in sustainable engineering, and I did environmental engineering in undergrad, which is kind of a crazy little journey because I started in physical therapy, so
that's right.
I was like all over the place. I came to Pitt. I was going to do the physical therapy, had a little deal to do the 7-year program and come out with a doctor and get some scholarship for it. But then decided I really don't like blood and throw up and stuff like that. Can't do it. And physical therapy, I was like, well, that's like the least you're going to see in that kind of area. But I just wasn't feeling it, and did some soul searching and probably some weed smoking, and came to
what's the difference?
See that they go hand in hand. But came to see that I was interested in environmental issues and seeing that they're kind of starting to become more pressing in our times. I was like, might as well go to school and see if I can help work on some of those and stuff. That would be pretty cool.
Right. It's pretty cool too, because I think all of this stuff that you've been working on kind of surrounds the industry side of it. So I remember you first did that business plan competition with the hail shields, and then all of the research with the water stress.
Yep.
That's super cool too. So you remember your professor was like, oh, well, we've been working on this other idea, but we're just going to use yours instead because this is really good. It was about how you mapped out the water stress for the ones that were the most water stressed counties, I think it was.
Yep.
Didn't you propose to actually make the other ones more stressed that weren't stressed to even it out?
Yeah, to balance it out with that.
Yeah, didn't they completely just get rid of their old plan?
that was the project I guess I was working on, and then it was like, oh, we're just gonna have you like work on this project now instead. So maybe that's part of it. And then I did present that at a conference. So yeah, I think, and then further work has like built on that.
So what do you want to do with it?
Well, that work I have been working on a little, but the idea with that, really what I did, I took data that was available at a water basin level, water stress from Aqueduct, global maps.
What is water stress too? Is that
water stress is the measure of the water in an area that's being used out of like a proportion of the water that's being used to the water that's available in a region.
Oh, gotcha.
So how much of your water that's available is being used essentially. For
agriculture and households and everything?
Yeah, for every industry. It's actually, agriculture makes up 70% of water use globally. In the US, it's a little less. I think thermoelectric power generation actually beats it out. I think it's something like 40-35 split between those two. So majority of the water that is consumed in the world are sources you really don't think about. It's food and energy. Because with food, I mean, you think about crops, you have to irrigate and everything.
Right.
But you don't think about how massive that quantity is compared to just your showers and flushing your toilet and all that. Like in a day, I think a person uses maybe 150 gallons, probably not even that much. That's like high, but you could probably get by 50 gallons.
Didn't you do a challenge once?
Yeah. Like 4 gallon challenge.
4 gallons per day?
Yeah.
How was that?
I think the point of the challenge is to kind of get you in tune with how much you use. Yeah, it is good. I definitely suggest people try it out. Try to go a day just using 4 gallons and look up online the amount of water that certain activities use. So a shower, I think they say something maybe 2 gallons a minute. You could toilet flush, I think it's between 1.5 and 3.6, depending if you're water efficient toilet or non-efficient toilet.
Mm-hmm. So wait, if you take a 1 minute shower, you're already halfway there.
And if you flush a normal toilet, 3.6 gallons Boom, once. That's why they say if it's yellow, let it mellow.
Who's they? I've never heard that.
You never heard that? No. Yeah. A public service announcement. If it's yellow, let it mellow. Just shut the seat.
Oh, wait, in other news, Joe, I am sore as fuck right now. Like, it's pretty hard to even walk for me. So I got on a bike ride during this COVID-19 situation here, but I ran out of daylight yesterday. So instead, I got on that spin bike that Rachel just got, right? So I was thinking maybe, all right, just get to 10 minutes. Like, at least do 10. And then I just, like, kept going and not thinking about it, right? And I got to the point where I had this playlist up on YouTube, just wasn't paying attention, windows open, whatever. Before I know it, I'm like, I got up until the clock had to reset back to 0, which is an hour and a half. So then I started playing more games. I'm like, all right, can we do it again? Can we make the clock reset? And then I got there.
Wow.
So then
so you're at 3 hours.
No, I'm at 200 minutes. Well, 198 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So I got up to that, and then it's in kilometers for some reason. I don't know how to change it to miles. So then I was like, can I get that to reset? Which I did. And then Rachel was coming over to use it next, and then I was like, could I just keep going until she's here? But it was very, very difficult, and afterwards I was gonna write the high score up there just to like incentivize.
Yeah.
But today I was like, no one should ever try to do that. That wasn't good. My legs barely worked today. Like, putting on my sock with my left leg for some reason. I think it's because it's up right next to a window and there's a little drop to the right. So naturally, you're kind of leaning over here towards the window instead of leaning towards the little
drop.
Yeah. So I think that's why my left hurts the worst. But even like I had Vans on, and the little galvanized rubber in the front.
Yeah.
So that now has like a half centimeter dug out on both sides, right where the pedal was, because they have the little things on top.
Wow.
So. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that again.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's fun, though, to push the limits like that. It is fun to do that every once in a while.
Yep. Especially during quarantine.
So much. Yeah. But I was on there for like, I don't even know, 5 minutes or something. I was getting it had me breathing a little heavier than normal.
I mean, it's just like running. So. The beginning, it's really hard. Once you get over that wall, it's smooth sailing. But then it comes back, and then you get better, and then it keeps coming back harsher and harsher. Like, oh, this is really getting harder. But, would hop off for 10 seconds, walk around. But that seat after a while, that was the worst part.
That was kept me from getting into biking as much. Like, I feel more comfortable on a skateboard than a bike. And a lot of it has to do with that seat. I could never get it comfortable. It always made my butt hurt.
Oh yeah, my taint is bruised as fuck right now. I haven't bent over to look at it, but I'd imagine there's
I don't know if I've ever bent over to look at my
Well, if there was ever a time, it would be now. But I'm telling you, even when you go out on a bike ride, because that's honestly my main form of exercise, getting outside, like a second hobby while I'm at work. That's all I'm wish I was doing, except music, because I work and I make music pretty much at this desk the entire time. So when you go on a long bike ride, you get halfway and you're like, okay, this is the point, I'm going home. So after you get halfway, the rest is like, you don't have a choice, you're getting home, like you have to get home. And there have been a few times where I had to like stop and just stand and like look at stuff, but there's so many different places to do that anyway. But that's the hard part for me, doing anything inside. Like, I hate running on treadmills. Can't do it for some reason.
That,
Unless there was one time I was really good at running on a treadmill. The World Cup was on, and it was in Florida. They had these little screens in front of it, and I was just pretending like I was on the Brazil team. So wait, speaking of Brazil, tell me about your Brazil trip. I just saw a picture the other day of someone on the top of a mountain, like zip-lining down to the beach.
That's cool.
Have you seen that?
No, I was on a beach in Brazil. There weren't really mountains around it.
What city were you mainly in? I forget.
So we flew into São Paulo, and then from São Paulo we flew to Foz do Iguaçu, which is Iguaçu Falls. That was beautiful. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It's like these giant waterfalls. I think it has like 7 times the flow of Niagara Falls. So it's crazy. And it's not just one waterfall. It's like a whole like valley of them.
Oh,
and just
like
these
a Disney
rivers
movie.
and yeah, and it was beautiful. It really did feel like fantasy, like surreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was like a rainbow over the waterfall when we were there, like
Ooh.
taking the pictures, and it was cool too because at one point there's this little point where there's water falling all around you, and you can look over the edge and like see all the mist. And there are a bunch of people there. You can actually see the flag to Argentina right like in the distance. So you're like in Brazil, you see the flag to Argentina, and I was sitting there, and there were this couple from Argentina, and so we were sitting there talking in like Spanish, Portuguese, and English.
Oh, wow.
So that was so cool, and they like took my picture. I took their picture.
Do most people down there speak like all the different languages, or
in that
mostly
area
Portuguese?
it was mostly Portuguese. That
Yeah.
area had a little bit of Spanish. Some people understood the English, some people didn't, and
Right.
we had two people with us. Two people, our professor and then the
Fluent?
like travel agent that were like fluent. And
Gotcha.
then we knew some words, like you pick up food pretty quick and the
You
basic
don't have a
stuff.
choice.
Yeah, like
sometimes you could
hello.
go around. So when I was in Costa Rica, there was a buffet, and I was like, "Oh, this all looks great. Yeah, give me one of those. Give me one of those." And it was cow tongue, which like I ate purposely after that, but I didn't learn that it was cow tongue until after I had it. When someone said that, and then I was just like, "Oh, I wish I just knew what's in my stomach like before I put it in."
Yeah.
But low key, one of my friends, he brought a cow tongue to this barbecue over the summer back in Scranton. And he was like, "Yeah, this was my favorite cow." He like raises cows. I think he names him Lucky because he was supposed to
Wow.
die for some reason, but he lived for another year. I forget the story. So he called him Lucky. He was like, "Oh, he was my favorite cow. We're gonna eat his tongue." So we were grilling up something on the grill, and we just threw that on as well. And this was like later in the day. We were playing cornhole, soccer all day. We had like a bonfire, but this was later in the night. Like all of us were a little tipsy, and we're like, "All right, who's eating the cow tongue?" And all of us tried it. It's actually really not that bad. You just need to know what you're going for, and you
Yeah.
kind of need to like chew around the parts just visually, because you could kind of see like taste buds sometimes. I don't think they're really taste buds, but I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
tongue. It's a
Yeah.
little hairy, but the farther back you go, the meatier it gets. And there was maybe 20 of us, and all the girls for the most part were kind of like, "Ew, it's kind of good, but still ew." And there was this one kid he was just like munchies. He's like, "Oh, it's not that bad." He literally ate half of this cow's tongue. And I don't know if you've ever seen a cow tongue prepared, but it's
No,
like
I
a
haven't.
foot and a half long.
Wow.
And it's all these, it looks like a calf muscle almost. Pun intended. No, I'm just kidding.
How does it taste? What kind of meat? Like the texture?
It's
What is it?
very different throughout it. So you might have parts that feel like they're almost ligaments, like a T-bone steak. You know how there's a lot of lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas other parts, it's like really tender. There's not really anything except soft, like break apartable, melt in your mouthy. But it doesn't have the most beefy flavor. It's
Yeah.
almost more like, I don't want to say chicken, but more like pork, I would say, you know, like a
Yeah.
really tenderized pork.
Yeah. Just kind of breaking
But-
off.
But yeah, first time I ever had it, it's because I just didn't know the Spanish word for cow tongue. They don't have that in any Spanish textbooks. Did
True.
that happen at all in Brazil?
Well, I did try different food. Chicken heart is considered a delicacy there. And here it's like,
What's that like?
you can get it super cheap. It's like, it tastes like chicken, but it's a little more,
It is.
yeah, it is. But it's a little more chewy, a little less like texture, like the meat where it kind of breaks apart. It's just kind of like a chewy and like small. It's pretty small.
Is it like dark
But
meat?
I liked it. It has a darker color. It is kind of like the color of dark meat, but I think it's more like an organ meat. It's not like a cow
yeah.
tongue where it's like thick, or like liver where it's thick, but
Right.
it's almost like closer to a calamari texture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Huh.
like chewy like that.
I remember pulling out of like a Thanksgiving turkey. They leave like the liver and I guess the heart or whatever.
The gizzards.
I never tried those. Did you ever have those?
No. Wait, is that gizzards or giblets? What's the difference?
I don't.
I've heard both those.
What is a giblet?
I don't know. I think I think they're organs.
Chicken giblets.
Yeah. Some people like them.
Is that what they fed you in Brazil? Chicken giblets?
No. Just the heart.
How'd you like it though?
It was good. I had another one. I had two.
How did they like fry it? Marinara sauce? Or
no sauce. I don't think
masala.
It was fried. But it was good how it was. It didn't even need any sauce.
Huh.
But that place was cool that we ate at. That was like a big buffet. There were a lot of buffets we ate at.
What's Brazilian food like?
They have a lot of meat. I cheated on my meat thing. I'm pescatarian, or have been for a few years, 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. But down there I cheated because I was like, it's part of the whole thing. And I heard like it's big in Brazil culture, like their meat.
Right.
It has a really good taste to it. It's like almost tastes like fresher or something. And they have a lot of fruit, a lot of their types of fruits like papaya, guava, mango, a lot of the fresh fruit juices. All the juice you drink is like freshly squeezed stuff from like fresh fruit. That was so good. Ah, man, I would do some things for some of that juice again.
So how into the culture did you get? Did you wax your pubes while you were there? Like
No, but I did have a cough at one point. Oh, actually, it was that, and we went whitewater rafting, and I think I got some water in me, like in my mouth and like nose and ears and stuff.
I never.
I might have got a little something like that. That was fun. That was cool. The guides that were doing it, they were crazy. They were like diving off the raft, doing flips like into the water and stuff.
Well, like workers.
Yeah,
all they do.
yeah. Because they just go down the rapids all day, every day. So they have fun with it. Yeah. But I think I got a little sick from that, and I just had this strong cough, and we were like at some outdoor shops in the one place in Florianopolis. And there was this guy, I guess from the Amazon. He looked like he was from a tribe, like a native kind of garb and stuff, and he just had a few tables set up with all these herbs like out. And I just went up to him and I was like, oh, and like, because I didn't like know how to talk, like speak all the words.
If you did that right now, you would be shot on sight.
Yeah, I know, right. It's like, no, we don't have anything for you.
No corona.
But
I'm at risk.
he like understood what I was saying, and he's like, oh, this one's good. And he just like gave me a little packet of these herbs, and I took them back and had some of that. I was like, drink or smoke? He's like, drink.
He goes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Pula.
I should have tried smoking them, because I tried putting them in hot water and it didn't really work. I didn't really get anything out of them. So that was we did sandboarding too. That was pretty cool.
Well, like on dunes?
Yeah, on sand dunes. And you take like a snowboard and like wax it with just wax each run you do.
Brazilian wax your snowboard?
Yep. That's close as I got to getting Brazilian wax. And then
how fast do you go down? Like, was it
you
steep?
go like,
because I feel like
it was pretty decently steep, but it's definitely not mountain. It's more like a hill.
Yeah.
It's like a big hill.
Plus, I feel like with sand, there's a high coefficient of friction,
yeah,
right?
that's why you have to wax it like each and every time that you're going, or else you won't, like, you'll barely kind of move.
Did you ever go to the Outer Banks?
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Kitty Hawk there? Where they flew the first airplane? The
Wright brothers? Yeah. Because you were saying that was the area. Yeah.
The thing to do there, they have one really steep one, is you climb up on the side, and it takes you like 45 minutes to get up, right?
Wow.
And then you run down. Well, it takes that long because you have an entire group with you, and it's really hard to like keep going, because walking on sands is already hard, but you're going up a hill.
Yeah.
And it's like a long, maybe a mile from the parking lot up, but you run down the steep part, and it takes like 10 seconds. And like, it makes you feel, you know, in the cartoons where like they start running, but before they actually go, it's just a little whirlwinds. That's what it feels like. Your legs have to keep going faster than they're supposed to, but you're not really working that hard. It's just like, all right, catch your fall every time.
Yeah.
But that's so fun. But you got to climb back up that.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
That was the part of it with the sand duning too, where like you slide down, and then you're like, oh, that was cool. And then you're like, oh, I have to run all the way back up. But it was fun where I wasn't like walking, like dredging. I was like running back up each time. Yep. But it's not that, it's like, I don't know. My cousins had like a hill we would like sled down, and they had a pretty big hill. So like big hills, you found a sled down, and it's probably like that size, and like you go about that fast.
Right. I
cool.
never really thought about that much until Bjorn told me he had never gone sledding.
Wow.
He's like, "Can I borrow your sled? I'm gonna go do it for the first time." I was like, "Yeah, you could borrow my sled." Yeah.
Oh, you have one out here?
I don't know where. Yeah, that's a good question. I did have one. I don't know where it is though.
Yeah, I haven't been sledding in a while. That's
I don't know.
Cool.
It was one of the foam ones with the really hard bottom that you could really get some speed on. I mean, he only went to Flagstaff, which isn't that steep whatsoever. But like, I had a hill in my front yard growing up, and we used to like ice it, put this bike ramp there, and like pour all the water over it so it froze.
That's sweet.
So fun.
Yeah.
Second best thing besides sledding is when I lived on a corner. The snowplow would just push stuff in the corner, and it would always rotate. So if it was over at Randy's house, it'd be like, Randy, we're building a fort over by yours. Or if it was even like down the block, we would just walk down there and hang out there all day and like dig these tunnels, and like, that was so fun.
That is, yeah. Snow was definitely a lot of fun as a kid.
Yeah, it teaches you a lot, right? I still really like
snow. Yeah. Yeah.
Really tests your limits.
Yeah. You definitely, we would build the little ramps out of the snow too. And sometimes if you like build them too much, like you'd be cracking the sleds or something.
Yep. There was a golf course a mile from me, even less. They had a par 3 right next to the parking lot that the green was up here, and you just had this tiny little spot that you could go through. But you gained so much speed on that. This kid broke his arm once because he like it's the type of steep that starts really fast and just keeps going like that, and then it kind of just flattens all the way. So if you don't land it right at the top, like you're just gonna fall forward continuously.
Yeah.
So when he jumped, the sled kind of like caught some air and he let it go, like he wasn't holding it hard enough with his arms. So the nose hit first, and he just like hit face first and broke his fall with his arm.
Oh.
I think he broke like near his elbow because he like crashed on it. But it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time, but he kept sliding for like 30 meters. It's going so fast. But that was a good time.
Yeah, sledding is fun.
I feel like growing up where it's nice would definitely have its perks, but I don't know if you would respect the amount of nice days you have as much, you know?
True.
Kind of just the normal.
You just kind of get tired of it, yeah.
Then when you go into cold, you're like, how do people live here?
Yeah, yeah. And I would like some warm climate, though, for a little to get that experience and see if... Because I don't think, at this moment, I don't think I've ever got tired of warm weather in my life. It's still always super nice, so I kind of want to experience it for a long enough period where... I feel that. I'm like, oh yeah, I could be tired of warm weather. Maybe I could use some seasons again.
Yeah, that is true. Like if you live somewhere really nice, you can just take a trip. But a question I like asking a lot of people when they come on is, if you had one car from any time, any color, in any place that you were just driving, if you could do that this weekend, where would you pick? What car?
Drive any car in any place. Oh.
I could picture you strolling through the waterfalls of Brazil in like a bright blue Cadillac.
Cadillac is the car I was thinking.
With a straw hat
on. I would like the Cadillac. I think
your trunk is filled with papaya.
Taking it back across the border with me. Gonna drive. Oh, I would like a road trip. I would like to drive probably across the country. Cadillac would be cool. I would like something convertible because I think that would be cool at some points for doing that. I think the like cliffs in California would be a cool place to drive around.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah, that would be, I've never been out that way, so I don't know, but
I've been on that for about an hour. It's crazy.
Is it scary at all? Do you think you're gonna fall?
Like no, not really.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. You might be for a little bit, but you're just so awestruck by the fact that the ocean is literally right there, and there's all these crazy houses just perched up over there. So you're always thinking like, how the fuck did they get everything up there? First of all, they must have a crazy view, and the entire time you're just like, what do they do? What is their occupation? You know. But overall, like, I think driving in Pennsylvania during an ice storm far beats that, you know?
True.
That'll make
in
you
like a
shit your
Jeep or
pants.
something, that would be fun in a Jeep. Oh yeah,
Well,
doing some
when
donuts
you're
in like
Jeep,
a parking lot.
Yeah, yep.
That's
Good
fun.
times.
Oh yeah.
But no, I mean in like a Honda Civic or something, going down like Bates even when there's ice, there's just no stopping.
Yeah.
You have to try to go like slide slow enough into the intersection that someone can tell that you have no brakes left.
Yeah.
That'll make you shit your pants.
Oh yeah.
Pacific Coast Highway, much better. No, it's really not that
as long
bad.
as you have traction. Yeah. I think I would also like to drive like I forget what year, some 80 something, maybe 70 something Barracuda, supercharged. That was the car my dad talked about a bunch. He had like 2 of them. He was big into cars. He was a mechanic. And he had a bunch of the sports cars back in the day. He would always get on us. He was like, at your age, I had a job and I had my own car and da da da. I was like, cool, Dad. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
not
was the
times
thing
like that
to do,
anymore.
though.
But
you know?
I wanted
Get
I
a
would
car, go to the mall.
watch a movie, drive your car to the movie.
Yep, roll up to a little freshman. You got a joint. You'd be a lot cooler if you did.
But I would like to drive that one around. I want to see what it's all about because he ended up selling that to get the engagement ring for my mom, and they got divorced. And he said it was the worst decision he's ever made in his life. So I want to see what that car is all about. I'd like to drive that somewhere. No police. There was one time he was driving down the highway. He said, I don't know if it was that car or just like another new one he had got, and he wanted to like break it in basically, and he was like going down the highway and he had like 140 or something, like going crazy.
Ooh.
And he saw the cop like on the side and he just decided to keep going, and the cop flashed his lights, flashed him right off in a second because
It's like Tokyo Drift.
yeah, you're going
He's
too
going too
fast,
fast,
or they
yeah.
can't even I think there's something about like a speed, if they're over a certain speed, the cops don't even engage. They're just like, that's too dangerous to get involved with.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What year was he born? Like,
63?
oh, it's exactly the same as my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Dazed and Confused?
Yeah, I think.
So-
but I was dazed and confused in it, so I don't really remember.
But the freshmen in that movie, they were freshmen that exact year. I figured that out once.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
If he, I think New York is like a year early, maybe. I forget. But, yeah. Anyway, I'm pretty sure when my parents were first dating, my dad sold my mom his Camaro and got a new one. Just funny. If I could pick somewhere during Corona, especially, I would probably pick like Montana, because isn't the speed limit 85 or something up there?
Really?
I think so.
I didn't know that.
I only know that because there was a principal in middle school that was a fucking douchebag. That right when we came back, he was like, all right, I know you guys had fun over the summer, but let me tell you this metaphorical story about my trip to Montana to tell you that you are not here to have fun anymore. So I was in Montana with my wife, right? Didn't do anything fun, but we're driving on the highway. I grew very accustomed to driving 85 miles an hour on that highway. But that doesn't mean that when I came back to Pennsylvania that I could drive 85 miles an hour. Now does it? And then a kid would be talking, he's like, hey, you, Jared, I'll make an example out of you. That was his famous line. Oh, no one liked him.
Oh, man.
I never understood. Why would you be a
Stick
principal
in the
if
mud.
like you don't have any friends in the children? That
Yeah.
never made sense to me.
Yeah. Why do you want to spend your whole career around kids?
Yep.
Go.
That's such
be
like
in
a
an office.
stereotype that when you're a kid, you're just like, yeah, that's what that person is. But being at the age now where you're choosing what your career could be and seeing some people being interested in teachers and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't see how those people ended up there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did they used to be nice?
Or is it like I don't know. One principal,
Do
it's
they have,
like
like,
the
a
power
power?
position
Yeah.
of the school. And then it's also maybe they have this
like a
ideal
power
of
trip.
like how education should be. They're like, it should be strict, and like we want to make sure our kids are getting super educated and no fun and be the best. And that's, I think that inhibits learning. I think if you're like the conditions are where you can be more engaged, that goes back to like the intrinsic motivation stuff. Like if the kids are curious and that drives their learning, then they're going to learn so much more
Right.
than just if
Right.
like they're told what to do and like disciplined into doing it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I was talking about this to Dante actually during this time where they're figuring out what do we do for these kids that are like in elementary school especially.
yeah.
Because a lot of them don't have internet even at home, or like a computer. They can't go to the library or anywhere. So I was saying this would be nice if this could happen, but it probably would not. You know how in school they're like, here's the curriculum. You're going to learn this. Here's a little freedom for a project or whatever. There's not really any time where you get to figure out what, not even what you're really interested in, but you can't really go down rabbit holes because you don't have time.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about in college, the most we learned was when these different topics would be raised in lecture, when we went home to try to learn more, we would go down rabbit holes and be really interested in it, and it didn't feel like work anymore. And I was saying, if they taught us how to figure those out and like to run with that when you're a kid more, they give you resources. Oh, here's a room with some cameras or something, but you have to take this class and go do it. It's nice now because the kids kind of have like, they can remake their entire curriculum. So I was saying, what if they had some sort of project ready for next time, like if anything like this is ever to happen again, where they're like, okay, this is the extreme curriculum, like emergency curriculum type thing. Use this time, do these preset projects, figure out what you actually are interested in. Because they do the dumb, you're interested in having a job where you do this, you should be a painter. And then they never do anything with it. It's just like a stupid game you play for a little bit. But if you could actually figure out what you're more interested in learning on your own, and they don't frame it as in like, you need to do this to pass. But you also can't just be like, oh, take this time to do whatever, because then no one's going to do anything.
Yeah,
they're
then
going to play
it's like
video
study
games.
hall,
But there's got to be some thing in the middle to strive towards, at least, you know?
I agree. I think that'd be super helpful because it's so like standardized, and then everyone just comes out kind of photocopies, like everyone has learned the same stuff if you've come out of elementary or middle school, high school, all that.
What did you want to be when you were a little kid? Because parents always used to ask us that.
Yeah.
That was always the question.
I think maybe like
when you meet other parents, you know, or like an aunt and uncle, they're like, oh, like, what do you want to be?
Maybe, I don't know. I was in a Thomas for a while, maybe a train conductor when I was a kid.
Yeah, everyone. If you don't want to be a train conductor for at least a week.
And like police officer for a little firefighter, like.
Cowboy. No, football playing cowboy in space.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what is that from again?
Squidward.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Squidward.
I definitely wanted to be a paleontologist. I wanted to be...
I was into dinosaurs, too.
Yeah, I was so into dinosaurs. I just thought it was so cool that people got paid to go search and, like, dig shit up.
Yeah.
But then I wanted to be an inventor. That was my next thing. And I had this little book that I had one where it was like a floating garbage can because it was my job to take the garbage can out. And the wheels broke or like freezed up at one point. So it was really annoying. And a lot of people, like my other neighbors, would just drag them along and they'd have to buy a new one. So I'm like, oh, we'll just put a hovercraft like under it.
Simple. Why haven't they thought of it yet?
Yep. So I had a book of inventions like that. I think what led me to start wanting to do that is when we learned about Ben Franklin. And I was like, wait, so all these other people were politicians and this guy was like one of the founding fathers and known for that, but he just sat around inventing shit?
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't know about his syphilis, but...
Oh, I didn't know he had syphilis.
Oh, a lot of syphilis.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I think he legally changed his middle name to syphilis.
Nuh-uh.
What? No, but it's crazy. Yeah, I heard someone was talking about how later in his life, you could tell in his inventions and his literature that his mind was definitely like fleeting, but he still was smart enough to kind of know like, okay, my mind is rotting right now.
Yeah. Let me wrap it up for this life.
Oh, yeah, dude. A lot of people had syphilis back then.
Yeah. Wow. I know he went over to France at some time during the war, and he was probably hoeing around a little bit. He's kind of old.
Benny Franks.
But yeah, I always thought the Ben Franklin and like Thomas Edison, Da Vinci, like all those kind of Renaissance man, that was super cool to me. But I feel like I didn't start thinking about that stuff till college. Like it didn't become a reality to me. Like I was going to do something outside of being in school, like until after. I thought about being psychologist, I think, at some point after I'd probably taken like a psychology course, and I thought that was super interesting.
Right.
Um,
That
I don't
class
know.
definitely kind of made me want to do that too.
Yeah.
That was a good class. I hated my professor, but I think I wanted to be a physicist at one point, but then I had a physicist teacher, like a physics teacher that was a complete asshole.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Then that was senior year actually. So then I went to college and I was like, okay, what would I make money doing? Let's do
Yeah.
finance, business. And I had finance and music as my double major. You know those placement tests that you take for like math
Yeah.
during Pit Start? So
Yeah.
I had to take one for music theory, placed like 4 classes above.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, I'll add that as a major. So I went
Yeah.
in having both of those. I only took one class of each and dropped both of them. So,
knew right away.
yep.
What
But
was it
I
about
think,
them that made you not want?
I think it was the learning about, well, it's different for both. So I'll do finance first. Learning what you're not interested in is the most important thing you should do freshman year of college.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Music was a little different because I don't know. I've never really liked any music class I've ever taken out of school. They're just, I don't know. I've never done well in those classes. Couldn't tell you why, because
Yeah.
I could play everything. I think it's just the curriculum that they design is such bullshit that if you don't do the project how they want it for a good grade,
Yeah.
then you get a bad grade.
Yeah.
You know, and they deduct points for the most ridiculous shit. So
Too much structure.
yeah, they had, I don't think they have this class anymore. I think the guy left. It was African American music in North America. That class was cool. I learned a lot in that. But afterwards, like after I left that class, I would come home and not want to do music because it was like the extrinsic and intrinsic thing.
Yeah.
Like that's already what I was doing. So when I found marketing, it was kind of the bridge between the two. I would learn about stuff, come home and want to do music again. So I did that. The other thing was accounting. I thought was a class that I needed to study a lot for and still only did like average in, right?
Yeah.
There were some students in that ended up becoming accounting majors. They didn't study. They thought it was so easy, right?
Yeah.
Flip the fall accounting classes for the spring marketing classes, exact opposite. Those same kids were studying their asses off and only doing mediocre. I barely studied, got hundreds every time.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right,
That's
this is
your
my
thing.
major.
Yep, that's your thing.
Yep. And then I got to add on the digital media, product innovation, and entrepreneurship.
Those are
And
cool
when someone asked me
certificates.
what all of that was, I'd be like, well, I want to be a rock star. To sum it up. Yep.
Yeah.
I
Rock star.
definitely
I
wanted
see
to
you
be
as
a
a
rock
rock
star
star.
in 4th grade too.
Yeah.
Still do. That never changed.
Yeah. Yep. Working there. Getting
Yep.
there. Building it up.
But I always saw the whole rock star thing as the people that really think that's the only thing they're ever gonna do. They're usually the people that it makes the most sense to like live that entire lifestyle. But I've always seen it as very important to have a side thing as well, like 2 things going at all times.
Yeah.
So, for example, right now, like my day job and then on tap as well. You know,
Yeah.
it's like 2 different lanes, completely different things. Like, couldn't be
Yeah.
more different, you know?
Yeah.
One leads me to be better at the other, for sure. Speaking of, I think the only thing in college besides general facts of business and stuff that prepares you for a real life job is trying to balance all of your coursework with creative projects that you're doing on the side.
Yeah.
At least for me, you know?
Yeah. I found that especially in the last like year or so, it's so important to have little side projects, even like just making the kombucha.
Got to be good at juggling.
Yeah. And then I'm like on a few different research projects. Like I'm working with the 2 different advisors right now, which is crazy. That's too much juggling. But most of my classes have projects now too, because it's just the grad level. So I enjoy having multiple projects to work on. And I've always had like, I think I've had 2 jobs since like 11th grade. Like, so I always have like different work things
Yeah.
to do too. Like it was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
nice, especially at the library. I liked having the library in school because that was 2 different like things to two different environments. And then like all the research stuff, that's always been like different than schoolwork, and that's been interesting to me. I always like working on the little projects that you have autonomy with.
Yeah.
Like that, those are really fun.
How different are grad school classes than undergrad?
Some of them are, it all depends. It really depends.
They're probably
some
smaller,
classes, some, yeah, yeah. Some are similar size.
Really?
Some are even just like, I've had a couple where it's just the undergrad class and there's a grad version too. And you like, one class, it was like there are 4 people on the project for undergrad, 2 people on for grad. Or like, the one class, the project was the same. So that's super easy. And then other classes, I had a grad class that was like 60 people, that machine learning class. But now I'm in the advanced one and that's like 10 people. And then I had like, and those are super rigorous, like a lot more work than I did before. Not many exams, not as much. It's more about projects, and some maybe homework or like presentations in class. And then I've had like, I took a natural resource governance class too, because with sustainable engineering, I can do like a bunch of different ones. That's how I'm able to do some of the like machine learning stuff. And I did environmental economics. I did natural resource governance. Like I've been able to dip my hand in a lot of cookie jars, which I like.
Yeah.
And that one, it was easy. It was super just do the readings and discuss in class. So it all depends.
So what's at the end of grad school for you? Are you going to be a doctor? I can't wait to call you Dr. Zappitelli. Even if you don't get a doctor, I'm still going to call you that from now on.
Yeah, no, I'm going for the doctor. It started out going for the master's in sustainable engineering because I've been working with that professor, Dr. Sanchez.
That doesn't sound as good as Dr. Zappitelli.
Yeah, that's the original one is my grandfather. He was Dr. Zappitelli, and that was something that maybe influenced why I tried to do the physical therapy. Because when he was in the nursing home, at the end, he was like probably like 95-ish at that point, and he worked until he was like 89. I'm pretty sure.
Damn. What did he do?
And he was at a hospital, and he did like radiology.
Oh shit.
So he did a bunch of that stuff for a long time, and he came over from Italy when he was young, and he did like the army. He was like an army nurse or a Navy nurse, one of those, to pay for his schooling, and that's where he like started medical practice, like in that
That's pretty cool
environment. And
was he in Philly?
Yeah, Philly area, Norristown.
Yeah.
Norristown is where I believe he helped find the hospital he was working on, like, or working at. Like, he was one of the board people or something, like starters of it.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and he was
Dr.
super like
Zappitelli.
quiet, super humble.
Unassuming.
Yeah.
Wait, you know what I love about you?
You never know.
You're so unassuming for how crazy the stories and ideas that you have that you present. I love it. It's so great. I could think of one or two. So wait, I want to get back to Brazil too.
Yeah.
So
there are a lot of loose ends, I feel like, still in this conversation. But wait, before we leave this one untied, he said to me before he passed, go and become a doctor. So that sat on my mind.
I never knew that.
That sat on my mind. And so that kind of leaned me towards like health, because that's what I thought doctor was, like in high school kind of. Mm-hmm. So I was like, physical therapy. And our family was kind of into sports, but it was really like my brother was more into the sports. He was like the big baseball guy and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I just kind of thought, I was like, I don't know, that's kind of cool. I'll do that.
I mean, that's pretty much how everyone picks their career.
Yeah, and I was like, it could be cool. Like, I like watching football and stuff, and I painted a picture of like working with an NFL team, like their physical therapist. I was like, that could be really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was funny in Sutherland just meeting some of the athletes and people. Shout out Sean.
Right. Yeah, what's up, Sean?
Yeah, Sean and Nigel.
I gotta get Sean on this.
Yeah. Yeah, doctor.
Dr. Zappitelli. I'm gonna start calling you, like, you're already a doctorate.
No,
in my book.
No, I started the research.
The moment
over
I tried
summer.
that hand sanitizer that was homemade, and it functioned that well. You've proved your PhD to me.
That's the cool thing about the process of PhD and why I'm interested in it, because that was a decision. It's like it doesn't really make you more qualified for anything you can do with a master's. Like you can go out and be like top sustainability specialist in some area because it's like an evolving field. So you could be like the sustainability person or sustainability consultant. Like you can work all those gigs with like master's sustainable engineering. PhD is not really gonna, like, maybe you can be, I don't know, like a little higher thing, like
Isn't the
officer,
only thing
like,
between that like your dissertation that you present for something?
yeah, and you do some more coursework for PhD. There
Oh,
are
you
like
do?
some more credits,
So you have to
and
go
all your
longer?
research dissertation. Yeah, PhD is like 4 or 5 years.
Damn.
But because of the master's, since I did that, that counts as most of my coursework for the PhD,
Nice.
which worked out because I wasn't really planning to do that. I just kind of got the offer from a professor I was in a class with, and I was like, free PhD? Yeah.
Do you know what you're gonna do your dissertation on?
Well, the work is going to be on the circular economy and plastics. Circular economy is basically our economy right now in a linear model. It's take raw materials, turn them into manufactured products, use them, dispose of them, end of life. Circular economy, instead of an end of life, you bring it back in. Instead of a raw material, you reuse it in some sort of way into a manufactured product, a new product, and keep that going, the material, so there's not like landfill waste. Essentially, like an ideal utopian circular economy, you have no waste. So working towards that, the part focusing on now is the plastics, and I'm doing a network analysis, or we're doing a network analysis on plastics, the imports and exports, global plastics, and just seeing how that's evolved over a period of time, and just see where the hot spots, who the big countries are in terms of production and consumption. Another interesting one to look at is plastic waste, but we'll also look at like building materials. Food is an important one because we waste like 40% of our food. So like just
Really?
composting
40%?
that, we can really turn that
Goes
to
bad or
zero.
like what's on our plate we dump out, or both?
A bunch. The stuff you dump out on the plate, that's part of it. The stuff the restaurants and places make that isn't eaten, that excess food, that's part of it. The stuff at the farm that either goes bad or it looks too ugly to send to the supermarkets, that's part of it. That's the service. They got the misfits, like that's the ugly fruit that, or food produce that doesn't make it to the supermarket, and they just sell it in that avenue, and it doesn't even look that bad, but that's a lot of food waste. And in developing nations, the bigger issue is really more refrigeration accents and like storage, like spoilage of food in the transportation process, because refrigeration is hard, and like supply chains and logistics, transportation is not as smooth or quick as in developed nations. But we waste a lot. We waste just as much between developing and developed nations. It's just what the causes are. But still, 40%, about 30 to 40%. And you could distribute more, eat more of that food, but I think even if you don't do that, you can compost it or use anaerobic digestion to turn it into fertilizer and then energy as well if you burn the methane gas off.
And it's hard too because the dense cities, there's not really a place that people can do that, you know, unless you have some sort of machinery or spot to bring it to.
You could do anaerobic digestion because that's something Kareem, they got the startup that they've got a shipping container and they anaerobic digest food through it. And it can handle like...
What do they put in it?
It can handle like 60 pounds a day of food. And it can get to more if you like really have a constant supply.
How does a shipping container digest food?
Well, it's the system in the shipping container. Everything's inside the shipping container. But it's a system that has basically the bacteria that are in a cow's stomach. And then you like process the food, chop it up real fine, throw it in there as like a slurry and let it digest.
You turn a shipping container to a cow's stomach?
Essentially.
Dude, wait, I haven't heard about this.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah.
People are doing this already?
Yep, yeah. They're anaerobic digestion is part of wastewater treatment. people aren't doing it so much for like food. That's kind of a new thing. That's why they're kind of a startup and looking for avenues of how to do it. But people do it. It's going on.
Does it need to be
fringe.
food that's digestible, just like a cow's stomach, or?
It builds up. It's like a baby. You got to start with spinach and like real like easy stuff to digest, the easiest stuff to digest. And then it builds up. And yeah,
put a bunch of fiber one bars.
Fiber
in there.
actually is not. You don't want fiber. I actually had some kava.
Oh, that's why it makes
like,
you shit, right? Because you can't digest it, so it just passes
yeah,
through.
Yep.
So no fiber one bars.
No fiber one
Don't
bars.
put any in that.
And no kava root either. It doesn't like the kava root because it's too fibrous. Bread,
but it can't do like plastics or anything yet.
No, plastics. It won't be able to do that. You need different processes for that. Actually, you can do mealworms. Mealworms will eat styrofoam. They've done some stuff on that.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. So wait, let me tell the people this story. I went over Joe's once, and there was a little container sitting there with these mealworms in it.
Yeah, oatmeal container.
And all I saw through this translucent top was just horror. I was like, Joe, what the fuck is this?
They were the super worms too. The big
He's like,
mealworms.
open it. No, I'm not opening it. You fucking open it. So he opens it, and there's a bunch of mealworms eating styrofoam. Like,
yeah.
Of all things, I didn't think styrofoam would be the one that a mealworm could eat.
Yeah.
Like, what is styrofoam even made of?
It's like a plastic. Basically, it's like chain that hydrocarbon chain, real poly hydrocarbon chain, long like chains. How they do the plastics, the polymers. And I guess there's like some injection process where they get the air into it. That's how they kind of get it that low density.
But they can't eat.
But you can't recycle that either. That's just like a material that has to be thrown away.
Right.
So the mealworms, they prefer to eat other stuff. It's actually good. There was some oatmeal in there and some strawberries and stuff. It's good to give them some other food too. If you just put them in there, if you just put them in there with the styrofoam, they'll keep eating it, but they'll probably die. They can get nutrients from it though. Leaving it as their main food source, they will keep living and pooping it out, and what they poop out turns into the compostable material. And people are working on getting that bacteria out of their stomachs and using that for a more mass facility processing of the styrofoam.
I like the idea of putting trash in a container that digests it.
Yeah.
Could you not just put like a gallon of Sprite bottles or something that are empty into like a furnace and melt them down at least?
Well, that's what recycling is. Yeah, that's you
But you can't do that unless it's like clean or anything.
Yeah, it has to be clean. There's a lot of pre-processing. That's why recycling is not doing like we recycle 9%. That's our recycling rate.
Yeah.
Terrible. Aluminum, pretty good at 85%. I think we could get to 100%.
Why are we so terrible at it though? Because it seems like something that like we would be good at. Is it just, there's no incentive or anything?
Incentives, part of it. Some areas are better than others. Like there's what do you call them? Icelandic countries. They and Germany, they have good collection systems for the point of use of the user disposing their waste. So they've got like a glass one, they've got a metal one, they've got a can one, they've got like plastic jugs, they've got like plastic bottles, they've got like your glass, paper, cardboard, and like 9, 10, 12 of them. So it's really split up, which is good for the processing because each material does need different treatment. Like glass burns at a different temperature than plastic. Certain plastics burn at different temperatures than other plastics to be able to be recycled. Some plastics can't be recycled, so you really have to pay attention to the number on the bottom. Like thermosets, they can't be recycled.
And no one knows what those are too. Like they never tell us that.
Yeah,
really,
me working on this project, I didn't know it, and still I'm learning. But I would say, I don't know, some number of months into working on this project, and I feel like I kind of know what plastics to put in there now.
Didn't you have that idea too that was like machine learning to figure out if it was good or not?
Computer vision too, that's another cool application where like, so instead of trusting people to do that, so what we do, we have one single stream, we throw it in there, and then it goes to a plant. And if it's, people don't even know if it's got waste in it, like if it's soiled, like a milk carton
or coronavirus.
You can't recycle. Yeah, that's probably easier than like, contaminants like grease, that'll mess up the machinery that melts down and like strips the materials and stuff. So what the computer vision model would do, take images of these bottles, plastics, cardboard, everything, and over time you train it on images of the materials it should expect to see, and so you build up a database of the recycled materials, and it'll be able to identify this is glass, this is cardboard, this is plastic, and then also build up a database of this is stained, this is processable, this is clean. If it is stained, this has like a plastic wrapper on it we need to remove, or this has the lid on it we need to remove, or this needs a rinse. Be able to sort those things out, and then have that do the sorting and identification, and then in your plant, so it sends it straight to processing if it can be processed, and whether it's glass, cardboard, plastic, send it to a right avenue, to the right process to recycle it for that material, and then if it needs cleaning or pre-processing in some sort of way, unscrewing the lid, whatever, sending it to that part of your factory. If you have humans doing that, or if you have machines doing that, I don't know, depend on what works best.
Right.
But having the computer vision, machine learning basically be the way to pre-process instead of deploying all these bins where people are pre-processing and you're trusting that they're like putting stuff in that's able to be recycled.
Yeah.
Because if there is one stained thing in a whole batch, you just throw that whole batch in the landfill.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I was about to ask what percentage of the things that like we put in our recycling bins actually get recycled fully?
I don't know. I was going to say that 9% statistic, but I don't think that's what it is. I think
crazy.
that 9% statistic is the materials that are recyclable upon production that end up going into the recycling process at the end of their life.
Right. Yeah, no, because I volunteered at a recycling sorting place for my soccer team in high school, and I'll tell you right now, their recycling rate, quote unquote, was like 80, just based on people drive. It's like a drive-through with these two buckets, like huge dumpsters on the side. One is for plastic, one is for cardboard, paper, newspaper, whatever. So people drive through with their cars, they open up their trunk, they're like, oh, here's my garbage. And then the 20 of us were just like winging them into these things. But there was no setup where we went over like, oh, there's still milk in this. Let's just rinse this out.
Yeah.
It would be decently clean, I guess. But there were some things that we were like, all right, just fucking get that away from me.
Yeah.
They told us to take the caps off.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure we just threw the caps with them.
Oh, yeah, so, you can't put the caps in, but yeah.
After the local the local collection place, where does it go after that? Do they have to like resort all of those, I'm guessing?
It depends. I would like to go to a plant and see what their process looks like. I don't really know that.
Yeah, the other thing, they wouldn't make money to have a big business do that, right? That has to be at like a government level.
That's the issue with it, yeah, because I think it's really high in capital investment, and then the return rate is not that much, especially recyclables, because that's the thing that's so wicked about and when I say wicked, I mean like a problem that's hard to, or impossible to solve, really. That's by definition what a wicked problem is.
Is that a real term?
Yeah, wicked problem is a real term. A problem that's a lot of complex interacting issues and factors that influence it. Yeah.
Preach knowledge.
Single disposable plastics, that's like a wicked problem because it's like, one, they're super cheap. So that makes it hard to have this recyclable service or for reusable containers to use. Two, they're super convenient. So who wants to use? So if they're super cheap and super convenient, what's going to be your choice between, I don't know, a water bottle, carrying that around, remembering to do that, or asking them to refill your coffee mug? Or you can't even get soda in a reusable thing, really. You just go to the store and buy that if you're into that, or juice or whatever. And then the recycling process is hard to make economic sense because the original virgin materials that the disposable bottles come in is already so cheap. So that's, working on those kind of challenges.
Yeah. I mean, that's a cool space to be working in for science, though, because anytime you have free shit coming in that you could toy with and it's already very substandard of a process, to innovate that, even if there's not a financial incentive for like a business corporation to do, there's still the incentive to fix that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Also, some more crazy. So I was looking into composting for my one class, industrial composting, because that's what I was like. If we're wasting 40% of our food, like we can do way better. And also, paper can be composted, cardboard can be composted. Like we can take a lot of these materials and just compost them. And soil is a big issue. Like we fertilize the heck out of our soils, and we really produce like. We extract as much as we can out of our soil for the economic value, and because we have so many people to feed. And we also use a lot for corn, which is like feed for animals, and then like a lot of it's used for ethanol, like producing that fuel. So we fertilize the heck and like really overuse our soil, so it's depleted of a lot of nutrients. And what compost is, you're just taking food, which is you need nutrients to. The process of growing food is taking soil and turning it into a food by extracting the nutrients into like the structure that plant or whatever is. So putting it back into the soil and putting those constituent nutrients back into the soil, and then letting that be good soil. So that's something that could benefit agriculture. Stop using all these fertilizers, which are causing downstream effects. Like you got the Gulf of Mexico, it's dying every year. Like you got that big algal bloom every year. That's from fertilizers, because the fertilizers get into the runoff of the water, and then all the algae start.
Wait, red tide?
Not red tide. They think it has an effect. They haven't drawn that conclusion yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude, the red tide down by my sister's been really bad.
That's more warming too. That's warming too. Yeah.
That's like did you see the Great Barrier Reef today?
No.
They have like one of the worst bleaching problems. When the water stays too warm, it bleaches it. They had a bad problem like 2 and 3 years ago.
Yeah. That's because of pH. When the water's too high, the pH raises a little bit, and like.
How does that work?
Calcium carbonate system. So you've got like basically your calcium carbonate system fluctuates based on small deviations in the pH, and a lot of the critters in the ocean, especially reef communities, have shells that are calcium carbonate. That's what all of like mollusks, like clams, snails, corals, like all that structural stuff, it's like calcium carbonate material.
So is that sand too?
Sand is it's probably got some calcium in there, but that's a lot of rocks too. It's not just pure, and ground up shells. Ground up shells would be the calcium carbonate, but rocks too. So you're getting a lot of other minerals, like more like soil, closer.
Right.
Yeah. But when the pH changes, basically it changes from carbonate levels that are 2+ to 1+ to neutral charge, like as you range. And we're like, as the water warms, like the pH is on a verge of changing it from a +1 to a +2. And then a lot of the organisms, their structure is like parts of their ions are being extracted into the water.
Oh,
basically,
okay. Yeah,
because the pH is changing the carbonate system that's in the water. So the shells, creatures are, especially coral reefs, they're very delicate to changes in pH. And so that a lot of carbon actually gets sequestered into the water is part of why these carbonate changes happen too, because when the water is warmer, the diffusion rate with the air is a little bit more because there's more activity. And when there's more carbon dioxide in the air, like the ocean is a big sink for that. And so the ocean is like sequestering a lot of that carbon dioxide, and then that's getting into the carbonate system, and the water's warming, so you got low pH. So there's multiple effects, but really not good news for the reefs.
So wait, I want to go back to the Gulf of Mexico, but let me ask you one question. Do you think organic chemistry is the hardest class in college?
It was for me. Well, actually, I got a D in that, and I failed a couple others. So
I heard that from so many people.
But it was one of the hardest for me. I could have worked harder. At that point, I took it kind of early. So like I developed my... doing college classes was different than high school classes. So like developing how to work in those classes came with a little bit of time.
It just goes so deep, though.
Yeah.
Branches off in a million different directions.
Yeah.
It's biology, chemistry,
Yeah.
plus like massive changes
I think
to
you
systems.
got to do a lot of problems
Yeah.
to like understand the names
a lot
of
of
the structures
memorizing
and stuff.
the structures
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Okay, but wait, the red tide. What did
Yeah.
you say causes that?
So they're still unsure about that, but I think warming effects have a role in it, and I think the fertilizers have a role in it as well. But there's more just generic algae popping up in the Gulf of Mexico from fertilizers, just algal blooms.
Wait, did you ever hear of the pink little ponds? Whenever I fly down to Florida, I look down and I see these, like, it looks like Pepto-Bismol color.
Oh, wow.
Like, straight up. These
Wow.
little ponds that are just completely that color pink.
Yeah.
It's some sort of algae, and
Yeah.
it would make sense
Yep.
because it looks like it's kind of in the developing neighborhoods where they're
Yep.
just putting down sod, doing
Yep.
all the landscaping and
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
Huh.
Yeah, the fertilizer runoff is big water quality issue. Because what happens, the algae grow, and then when the algae die, the bacteria because you think plant life in the water, that adds more oxygen because plants take up CO2, breathe that oxygen. So you think it's a good thing. But when those plants die, the bacteria that come and consume them, those are aerobic processes, and they consume a lot of oxygen is what that means, aerobic. And so all of the water in that those plants are dying in, it gets depleted of the dissolved oxygen content, and then everything in that water dies. So it creates a dead zone, and they've been getting bigger and bigger. There were actually some laws put in place for Lake Erie because they were killing that too with that. So they really try to limit the amount that goes into there and the Great
Wow.
Lakes in general. Yeah,
Just the fertilizer.
the fertilizer, yeah. And so compost, that's the tie back. Composted soil can replace the need for fertilizer.
Yeah. I don't remember what made it so cloudy, but I remember there were these mollusks in Lake Erie that made it crystal clear.
Oh, yeah, because they would be filters.
I wonder if it was
Mollusks
algae,
filter
too.
water. Yeah, they're natural filters of water. It's actually really cool. We had some clams and mussels in these rivers, I think, but I think,
Here?
yeah,
Are you kidding me?
I'm pretty sure.
They're-
I'm pretty sure, but I think they've been
Like
put
naturally?
to extinction. Yeah,
They survive here?
there were some mollusks in
I know there's
before
mussels.
industrial. Yeah, mussels. Yeah.
What are mussels?
I think that's a type of mollusk.
Do they just like
think-
float along and then stick to it?
Pretty
Oh.
much, they find things to
Yo,
stick on.
I never
like
told you
bridges
about
and
this.
stuff.
So I was on a bike ride the other day, right?
Yeah.
Like going to the point on that little platform that's really close to the water. That's across from Station Square. I passed this bike. A cop was on a bike taking a video on this. 2 other people were taking a picture. This bicycle was definitely in that river for like 10 years or something.
Wow.
So this bike was covered every single piece of surface area on it in barnacles.
Wow.
One of the craziest things I've ever seen.
That's
The chain
cool.
was still on it, all the wheels. It wasn't
Wow.
bent up or anything.
Yeah.
I want to know what happens if someone
That was here? This
just
river?
if someone crashed and they never got it. Yeah, dude, it was right
Wow.
over by the T station.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was one of the cooler things
Yeah.
I've seen.
That's cool when something like that, even like sunken ships in the ocean, when they become little habitats for
Yeah.
things to grow on, because that's like structure for reef like stuff to kind of happen.
Yeah.
That's
And
what they're gonna have to start doing with.
That's where people fish down there too. So I think someone
Hmm.
caught it with. Can you imagine that classic thing of pulling up a tire?
Yeah.
You just pull up an entire bike. How did that
Yeah.
like?
Well, we
surprised it
were
didn't
we
break
were
their
actually doing.
line.
I did a river cleanup one summer. I met this guy. This is cool. I was just walking down a path to Hillman. I think I was working at Hillman. He was an older guy, and he had like 3 grocery bags. And so I was like, oh, it looks like, that's kind of heavy for him. So I was like, can I help you carry your bags wherever you're going? And he's like, oh, yeah, thank you. And then we started talking because he's like, oh, you're so nice. You're too nice. And he was walking to the library, too, to do some work. And we were just talking. He was working at the DEP for a while, and he retired and was like an environmental engineer. I was like, oh, I'm doing environmental engineering, just chopping
What's
it
the
up.
DP?
Department of Environmental Protection.
Oh, gotcha.
That's PA's enforcement group of the EPA. So like the EPA
okay.
sets things, but the states like enforce and like have their
Gotcha.
own branches. And he was saying they were doing a river cleanup, and I was like, cool, I'll come. So I went to the little river cleanup, and I was doing one area and filled up like 2 trash bags and pulled out 2 tires just in a little, like, pretty much my own, like, you walk down by the edge of the river and you find a little section. It's a little bit of like beach kind of, and there's like some shrubbery that kind of cuts it off and makes it like a little section.
Right.
So it's not too far. You can stride down a little, but just cleaning that up, the bushes behind it, and like there were some stairs that cleaned around, and like looking into the water's edge, I saw these tires. It was a ton of trash just in a little area, but those tires are hard to get out. They're real heavy. I
wonder
myself
what the craziest shit they found down there is.
Yeah.
The type that like they didn't want to tell people.
There was a body. They found a body.
Oh yeah. It was like
that?
a student, right? Some kid that went to Duquesne.
I didn't hear about that. Oh, maybe
someone was
it was
just telling me that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's some Duquesne student went missing and they found his body in the river.
Yeah, it went through one of the dams, and they interviewed my hydrology professor. He was on there was some show about it, some like, I don't know, but he got part of the coverage.
Pun intended.
And yeah.
Damn.
Damn. But
where's there a dam here, by the way?
By the drinking water treatment plant, Aspinwall.
Oh, that's way down.
Yeah, Aspinwall, and then there's another one. I don't know, on the Monongahela, actually, right by what's that amusement park place over there?
Kennywood.
Kennywood.
Or no, the water place. Sandcastle?
Kennywood is what I'm thinking about. But
Kennywood
Sandcastle is there
down.
too.
Sandcastle's
you
right
pass
on the water.
Sandcastle, that's like beginning of the Mon, like kind of from the point to the Mon. Then you're going down a little more, and then Kennywood is there, and you go a little further down. I think it's Clairton Coke Works is the end, and then there's another dam. So like we would go dam to dam to test the water quality down there on the boat. That's off topic though.
So if you had to,
the person that died.
Yeah, but wait, if you had to swim in one of the 3 rivers here, which would you do?
Allegheny, and I did.
Yeah,
I jumped in. Yeah, we jumped off the boat. That's the
cleanest.
That's the cleanest. Well, 3.
Industry
Ohio,
or
maybe Ohio.
I mean, actually, that's both though.
Ohio would be crazy. Mon definitely got a lot more industry. We get our drinking water from the Allegheny,
but
so
Ohio's
we did that
both,
intentionally.
You know,
and the Ohio's too fast. I wouldn't even want to be in that. That's crazy. Because getting in the Allegheny, I was like, whoa, this is.
Yeah, no. When you go kayaking, right when you're rounding the point.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely a complete difference. Like right by the point, it's kind of still, but you could tell that it's pushing against each other. You know.
Yeah.
So Allegheny's cleaner.
Definitely, it's deep too.
So is it deepest, you think, right at the point where they meet? Because there's so much.
Yeah, the Ohio's definitely deeper.
Yeah, there's just so much activity there with both of the currents, you know?
Yeah. I wonder, there were probably some cool, like, underground, like, topographic maps of those. Hydromorphological. I don't know what that word would be. I think hydromorphological, that might be the one.
I trust you, Dr. Zappatelli.
Yeah,
but
hydrology
seriously,
cool.
I wonder what they found in there, because there's this spot back home where there's a little waterfall, and it goes really deep just where that is. And a lot of people used to go back there. They went down and they found like a couch, I think. They found bicycles, ATVs.
Wow. That's crazy. Because everything from the current probably gets put there, and then if it's too heavy, like it's going to sit there first instead of rolling down the river.
Right. Yeah, they've looked in the Hudson before. There's so many guns, especially.
Oh,
a bunch of bodies with chicken wire.
I bet. Wow. Yeah, the mob times, the evidence.
Bet you'd find in Pittsburgh like some old English bottles.
Yeah. Oh man, I shouldn't even. I was thinking about like swimming down all the way and like feeling the bottom with my foot. I'm glad I didn't do that. Yeah. Yeah,
that's always the thing. Swimming in reservoirs or rivers for me, like I don't want to feel a bottom.
Yeah,
for some reason,
because it's gonna be all like muddy and what if there is a body? You're like on one of those shows, like it's like NCIS, like someone's swimming and like there's a body.
Little
do
you know, you're in an opening scene.
Yeah, right.
NCIS.
What have I got myself into?
What if Ashton Kutcher was the host of a Punk'd thing that went wrong, and then it's like, oh, just kidding, it's an NCIS episode. You've been double punked.
That'd be funny.
I heard, someone's doing a Punk'd thing now. Let me look this up. They're redoing Punk'd with a new host. Was it like Kevin Hart or something?
That would be funny.
Oh, I wanted to talk to you about Kevin Hart too. So I've been watching some Bernie Mac stand-up.
I love Bernie Mac.
Kevin Hart is the same person right now. I'm telling you, the way he has this, like, he'll go real slow and real loud for certain things, and then he's like, he just blows right through the parts right there. Both of them.
I gotta watch more Bernie Mac stand up. I used to love the Bernie Mac show. I would watch that in middle school, like when I got home from school all the time. So good. I love that.
Chance the Rapper's the new host.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I did see a little thing for that.
Yeah, he goes, I got a new job. I'm hosting punks. No one is safe. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. He's getting on a lot of the TV shows. He just did that Rhythm and Flow, and now he's gonna do this.
Yeah,
that's cool. I like Chance seeing him like his person.
Yeah,
because
right.
He's really cool, like personality.
He's got a cool personality. Yeah. Definitely down to earth too. I want to see Johnny Knoxville do a show like that, but
I don't know Johnny Knoxville that much.
Jackass.
Oh, okay. I haven't really seen those. I've seen clips and stuff.
Dude, don't get me started about Jackass. I honestly, yesterday on that stationary bike, I felt like I was on Jackass because during it, I was just trying to be a maniac, and then as I got off to take breaks, I was like, oh, my ass! I feel like they always did shit that either they injured themselves or they took it out on other people. I don't know.
Yeah. I did one kind of like that, like with calf raises. Oh, wait, I'm moving away from that. Getting over here shaking.
These swivel chairs get you.
I know, and after sitting on them for so long, I just want to shake.
Yeah, these are nice though, right?
Yeah, they are.
I like the little bounce they got.
Yeah. Oh, I remember doing that on these. We were like doing the little core like twists, and I remember hurting myself. I did them too much.
Oh my god. Wait, you know what's really funny? Rachel doesn't remember. I think she was sleeping when we were doing kung fu in the living room at like 3:30. Me, you, and Dante. She's such a heavy sleeper. She didn't wake up from us doing kung fu.
I remember.
You're like, yeah, here, do it this way. You make the noise too, and all three of us were just like, 3:30 in the morning. Oh, that was fun.
Taekwondo.
You're right. It wasn't kung fu. Dante and I probably were like, yeah, kung fu.
Yeah, like karate or something. Yeah. Shout out Master Kim.
I've always thought karate is like martial arts for kids, and when I grew older, I was like, oh no, people actually like take karate seriously.
It can be intense. I heard my one buddy that did karate. I think the black belt test he did, they carried a cauldron filled with burning coals across a room on their arms, and that was their like black belt test.
That's stupid as hell.
Yeah, I guess it's a way to like distribute the pain to like every possible point you can to make it
But it's only
dissipate.
a little part, right?
And like dealing with pain, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I never went through it. That sounds crazy. But I really do like Taekwondo. I'd like to keep going with that. I want to get the black belt just as like a commitment thing. I like to just see things through to the end. Like, but I want to get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too. I think that one's really cool.
Yeah, I've heard Jiu-Jitsu and Judo are the ones cool that you should learn if you do martial arts in your life.
Yeah, Judo's like a good. You kind of need just basic Judo throws for Jiu-Jitsu because that's like your takedowns basically. We did some Judo throws in like the Taekwondo. But Jiu-Jitsu is all that ground, like grappling game, submissions and stuff. And I like that because it's like you can defend yourself without injuring someone, really. It's just kind of like submitting someone if necessary. Or I think it's really even cool, the art, beyond like the practical ability to use it. It's like you can really grapple for like hours.
It's nice to just like get out the aggression, not even aggression, but... You know, in the part of your day where you've decided what you're doing, and then you're at the part where you're like, all right, I just need to like get some stuff out.
Yeah, just like that built up physical energy. A lot of people like hit the bag
or something. Yeah, people with pads. We should get pads.
That would be cool. I've got some boxing gloves, and I wanted to go to.
Do you have the grappling gloves too?
Well, they're like the gloves that have like your fingers are out.
Yeah, I remember I saw those before. I think those are the grappling gloves.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So you could use them for grappling too. Yeah, that I want to get into. I wanted to go to trees to hit their bags, like in the multi-purpose room, with the mats and stuff, and the bags in the back.
The fuck you up room.
Someone went in there you were allowed to go in there on your own before, but now you're not allowed to go in there on your own unless you're in a class because someone went in there and broke every mirror. Who? They just went in there blowing off steam and had to go and break every mirror. I don't even know how you got through every single one without bleeding.
I'll break one thing and I'll be like, well, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But to just continue doing every single, that's a little much.
Something was off. And that's like, it ruined it for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
hey, if you're out there listening, fuck you.
Yeah, man.
That's
and
so
hey,
much bad
if you need
luck,
someone
though.
to talk to too, it's cool. You can work it out.
That's so much bad luck. 7 years per mirror, at least, right?
He's into next lifetimes.
No, Dante and
Or
I were
she.
talking about doing like a new class every month. So our first one that we proposed was Krav Maga.
Hey, Krav Maga is cool too. That one's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah, we
I'm gonna
should
do that.
try to get that as like a challenge every month.
That would be sweet.
We try a new class.
I would really like that.
'Cause just,
After Corona though, everything's closed.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm at the point that I know a decent amount about the things that I'm like really interested in, but I also want my ass kicked for something that I realize, oh, I know nothing about this. You know? That's so refreshing to me.
It is. I did the dance class here too. Martial arts was like that for me because I'd never done that. And like in the beginning, that was tough. And you really like, my legs got so flexible. We did some stuff I never saw my body doing before. So it's like really pushes you and is really uncomfortable in the beginning. But I did
it's
the
very
dance class
fluid,
too.
You know, you really need to get the mechanics down.
Well, yeah, that you like come to that, but in the beginning you're so awkward.
Yeah,
but
right.
You just like,
It's like a baby lamb trying to walk.
Yeah, but
except
it's-
they're kicking.
yeah.
A baby lamb trying to kick your face.
But it's good to have the class like structure to like put you through those reps of like, all right,
Right.
keep moving your leg like that. Like your muscle memory will get there. Like you don't know how to do that yet because you don't like it's gonna be awkward. Keep going.
Right.
And then same with like the dance class. I was super like nervous and like awkward about dancing and moving like that.
Well, that's the beauty of classes too.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Even
and
like
you
in
just push
acting
through
class, all of us were looking around like, I guess I could do this. And then, dude, by the ends, I think on our last day, we did this thing where it was, all right, 2 random people that the professor would call into the circle. There weren't that many of us. It was maybe like a baker's dozen. So
Yeah.
the 2 shyest people get called together, right? And one girl was a legit actor, so she was shy in real life, but she was like a Disney star when it came to doing any acting. She was like very good. The other kid had never acted in his life, and he goes, oh wait, I'm sorry. So she would pick the 2 people inside, and then people in the circle that weren't acting, they would yell out 2 circumstances, right? So theirs was someone yelled milkman and someone yelled porn.
Oh man.
So this kid comes up, instantly goes into the position where it looks like he's holding all this milk, like 50s, like goes like this with his hat and just like shakes it to the side. And he goes, knock, knock, knock. She opens up. Why, hello. And this kid, meanwhile, we all know where this is going, right? Meanwhile, he's sticking his chin back and he's like, hello, ma'am. I got this milk load here. Would you like me to bring it in the front or would you rather me bring it around back? All of us instantly just, we could not believe it. Oh my God. The 2 shyest people. And this happens. And then she's like, oh yeah, grabs him. And we're like, no. It was incredible. But
Wow.
like, at the beginning of the class, all of us were looking around just saying like, oh, I feel like a baby lamb.
Yeah,
You know, like I
yeah.
don't know what I'm doing. I don't
'Cause
know
you-
if it's
you-
awkward if I go too
Yeah.
hard yet.
Yeah, it's like a whole new arena. You've never like, what are the rules here? What am I allowed to do? It's like stuff you haven't done before. What can I- yeah,
And it's good to get reminded that you really don't know about some things.
Yeah.
And it's presenting a new rabbit hole.
Yep,
You know, even
yep.
seeing people that are really good at it, it's refreshing because it makes you want to go back to what you're actually good at and be better.
yeah.
You know?
And then you also like, I think if you try enough of those things that seem like way out of your box, way out of your comfort zone, like
Right.
you start looking at people that are really good at stuff, and instead of being like just being able to appreciate it and like, wow, like that's awesome, like that's super cool, it's like, can I try like what they're doing even if I'm not as good as them? Like, can I do, I don't know, the like skateboarding tricks I see, or like do some crazy snowboarding stuff, or like make some music, or
skiers
do poems.
blow my
Yeah.
fucking minds.
Yeah.
They make it look so easy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from experience, like it takes a lot of hours to do
Yeah.
even the simplest thing that you might see them do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what wins gold for them is when the judges see that they're just throwing shit together and like trying stuff that they've never even done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it just goes back to fundamentals every single time.
Yep,
Every
yep.
time someone's the best at anything, they're just clinical.
Yeah.
Every single time they have to do something normal. Because when they're trying to throw something they've never done before, it's just like, all right, I know this fundamental. I'm just going to rotate it this way. And then, okay, where's my landing? Open the landing gear and they're there.
Yep. Yep.
Ridiculous.
And the timing and just the feel for it all over time, the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you try something new and you're bad at it, you can really recognize talent in something, I think, better too.
Yep.
Because you know how tough it is.
Plus, getting a little bit of like an increase in your ability for it comes very quickly sometimes.
Yeah.
That's nice too.
Yeah.
Because, say for music for me, I wouldn't say there's enlightening things that happen on the day-to-day that I'm like, oh, I'm better now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's just a more interesting, oh, I never thought to play a major seventh chord with this in the bass right here in this shape.
Yeah.
I bet I could use this because it's in relation to this.
Yeah.
So it's just rearranging and like, oh, I never thought about doing it that way.
Yeah.
But you're still
Yeah.
going to get to the same spot that you knew existed.
Yeah.
Where if it's something completely new,
Yeah.
it's like you find the new map.
Yeah.
You know, it's like playing a new video game where
like-
the map isn't unlocked yet.
Like being a kid again, almost even too.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like
Yeah, that's a good way
everything's
to
still
put it.
new.
Yeah, it's very humbling.
Yeah.
As I put it before, it's nice to get your ass kicked.
Yep. Yep.
Because when you're talking about taekwondo, but
Yeah.
anything.
That's that
honestly,
machine learning class too for me, because it's like all the computer science people, and I'm just like, I'm the sustainable engineer trying to learn how to apply this stuff to cool environmental data and try to
Yep.
make some recommendations for decisions of how to go about it, solving these challenges best.
Oh,
But I have
yeah.
no idea how to actually do this computer stuff, and I'm gonna get my butt handed to me, and I'm sorry.
That happens to me
struggled.
weekly at work, honestly,
Yeah.
because the people around me, for the most part, are very tech oriented, whereas like they probably went to school for that or they've been working in the tech position for a while. So I'm on the tech team technically, no pun intended.
That's like
But
three good
I do more
puns.
of like I'm the bridge between the tech and marketing and operations a little bit. That means that whenever there's a task handed to me, it's usually like, hey, can you help with this? And then I'm like, yeah, I could figure it out. That's my motto, is never say no, figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yep.
And if you have good teammates, you know the right questions to ask the
Yep.
right teammates,
Yep.
you're good. Part
Yeah.
of the fun is figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some of the email change that I get looped in on, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
here's the other thing. If they saw a glimpse of the email chains, like, I don't fucking email for music. Are you kidding me? Email sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they saw the text even or the Slack messages for particular, especially when you're sending notes back and forth for mixing, if they saw a lick of that, they'd be like, I haven't a clue what you're talking about, Andrew,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I bet. I would like to see some of those, actually.
Yeah, but again, nice to get your ass kicked,
Yeah.
whether it's something you're already really good at. But I feel like it's harder to get your ass kicked by something you're really good at already, you know?
Yeah.
Unless it
Yeah.
involves getting punched in the face or kicked in the ass.
Yeah. Or it could just be like going deeper into something, I guess, that you're good at. Like,
Right, but it's like a horizontal
yeah.
move. Like if I
Yeah.
moved over and studied a jazz song, like a finger picking song or something, I'd have to sit
Yeah.
down and focus, but
yeah.
it's not the same as being in a brand new judo class.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
all right, here are all these fundamentals you've never done.
Yeah. Yeah. Move your body like this. You won't know how to do it until you do it 100 times. Yeah.
Yeah. How many martial arts classes have you taken?
Just Taekwondo. Yeah, we did a little judo in there. So that was really it. They had a mixed martial arts club. I kind of wanted to get in them, but I never really found the time to get involved with that. And it was also always up at trees, which is like a huge hill to get up there. So that's always a limiting factor.
I was only in there
doing
once.
those things. Really?
Yeah.
For
It was-
what?
To watch one of Rachel's dance things. That was
Oh,
it. I've never worked
wow.
out there though.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, the Pete is right there.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. You got to go past it. So I had the class up there, the dance class and the martial art class was up there.
Right. And then I used to go to the cost center instead as well because they had like a turf field. That's all I needed. I
Yeah.
used to just go run in there. But
Yeah.
I hated running in there because it was always so hot, dusty, and still. Every time I used to play indoor soccer, my teeth and my jaw and my throat would hurt. I always thought it was because it was in the winter, but then when I did that in the summer there too, I was like, oh, it's just because the air in here sucks. And it makes me like clench my jaw because you're not getting enough oxygen and all this dust.
Yeah. Oh. They just redid it all, right? It's probably better
Did they?
now. Well, they got that big inflatable one that's like
Oh, you're
kind of
right.
there,
Yeah, the new one.
right by the shed. Did you ever go back to the shed?
Of course.
Yeah. They got rid of the shed. And that's where
Yeah.
they put that dome in now.
Yeah, it's probably for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little parking garage right next to it.
Yeah.
So it's on the top of that's probably the tallest place in Pittsburgh, I have to say, right where that radio tower is.
At the top of that,
you
on top
see
of someone,
like Matt Oliver and stuff, and Matt Washington is pretty high up too. But I mean, that's pretty up there.
Yeah.
So starting with that, there's a little parking, like outdoor parking space. I think that's what OC means, is outdoor cost parking.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But the actual cost center has a little like turf field inside, but then mainly it's an 8-store parking garage that goes down the cliff.
Yeah.
That was closed on Sundays, right? But the elevators would still work.
Oh.
So me and Richards used to bring our longboards there, and it was the perfect steepness that it would bring you fast enough, but never
Not
too fast that you couldn't just stop whenever you wanted. So we would ride it all the way down, take the elevator back up, rinse, repeat.
Oh, that sounds
beautiful.
amazing. We should try to hit that. There's probably no one using it now. Well, they might close it down for Corona.
I mean, it was always closed. You had to go in the side door, though. Yeah, and then they have the turf out back, too.
Yeah. I remember playing in there a couple times.
Yeah. Turf. Did you ever play hurling?
Hurling?
Yeah, they have hurling practice back there.
Hurling?
Yeah.
I never even heard. What is that?
So, I'd never played it there. I saw them play it, but in Dublin, they have this giant stadium where it's Gaelic football and hurling, which are the same sport, except one's with a stick.
What?
So Gaelic football, it's like kind of a smaller, leathery soccer ball.
Yeah.
Did you ever play animal ball or like speedball even?
Speedball, yeah.
It's similar to that,
Okay.
but like not really the same.
Okay.
It's more like rugby mixed with speedball, but hurling is like with a stick and a little ball that you kind of hit. That is
like
super
cricket,
fun.
Almost?
No, because cricket's kind of more like baseball where
Yeah.
the play starts with someone throwing it. It's the exact same sport, Gaelic football and hurling. Hurling's pretty fun though. Like if I played that growing up more, that would have been my sport. That was so fun to play, seriously.
So how do you hit the stick down the field and you pass it to people and it's like constant like soccer?
Yeah, I would say hurling is more like field hockey mixed with soccer, mixed with speedball.
Okay.
But
speedball, couldn't you like kick it or throw it? Wasn't that the thing with that?
yeah, that was a little too much though. That was like just, okay, what items do we have in this gym class? Let's make them score that way.
Yeah.
But it was, you could score like a field goal or you could pass it to the end zone.
Oh, okay, so that's
but
how it's
I think
kind of
you were
like
only allowed
rugby.
a certain number of steps and can only pass forward or something. Or
Oh, okay.
I forget. But anyway, yeah, Pitt had a team for that, and I saw them practice all the time. They were super into it.
We are pretty good at those random ones. Wasn't there a Hogwarts group too? The Quidditch team or something?
Yep.
They were just like best in the country at it or something. Crazy, like
represent.
I was like, oh, Pitt, yeah. The cathedral looks like Hogwarts. We play the Hogwarts sport. Yeah, this is the magic world.
Yeah. Well, what about Game of Thrones? I wanted to talk to you about that too. Because I remember the first time I watched Game of Thrones, maybe like season 4 was out, was with you.
Yeah.
I had never seen an episode before and I didn't come back to it. But when the last season was coming out, I went to binge it because I was like, how often can you watch the end of a famous show while it's actually happening?
Yeah, true.
And I remember that battle scene was one of the craziest battle scenes I've ever seen.
The one at the end, the last season?
The long night.
Yeah. I really like that.
I love that And then the next day, people were like, "Oh, it was so dark."
Yeah.
But people were still fine with it. The first episode or two were really slow. That one blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And then people really hated the ending. And now no one wants to rewatch it or anything. Do you think you'll rewatch it?
I think so. Actually, it was on today. I was watching it like this morning, so I kind of saw like. Well, actually, no, I didn't even really see it. I just saw the intro, but I heard the music. I just really like that, like the music, the world, the characters, the progression.
Right.
I think I'd rewatch it. There's so much to rewatch. It's something that like I could always kind of be like interested in throwing on. Especially like that battle scene. I really like that. I don't know about the last episodes and stuff like.
But here's the thing: it was only the writing and like the production of it, but the cinematography, like the scene where the camera's going up the stairs and Daenerys comes out and the wings of the dragon come out and everything's like snowy and dark and red. I remember you and I were like, pause. Could we just stare at that? That was one of the craziest shots I've ever seen. Shot.
I forgot that was in the last one. Yeah.
Everyone does. Really they forget that it had one of the best battle scenes in that.
The battle scene was really good.
And then when I went
wasn't that the episode before though?
Yeah.
So that one I would rewatch. I really like that.
Yeah. And when I went back and watched the first season again with Rachel, I was like, this editing sucks. Go back and watch the first episode of Game of Thrones, like right after watching the last. You know how at the very beginning, it's the guy that says there's a White Walker and they're like, you're lying. Go back and watch that scene. The editing is absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
but no one cared about it yet. You know, they were trying to figure out the world.
Super big budget increase as the season went on.
Insane.
Because it caught on so big after a couple seasons.
Yeah,
actually,
they broke the record twice for the most expensive television episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. That was cool. I just like those kind of worlds. I was rewatching Lord of the Rings, a couple of them, like not too long ago. I love those.
I don't think I would put Game of Thrones up to Lord of the Rings level, but it's like it's our version of the Lord of the Rings. You know?
And I feel like Lord of the Rings started all of those kind of like
exactly.
Like Harry Potter kind of followed that a little. It was different because that was like a whole new like magic stuff. Game of Thrones was kind of like it. I mean, it did have different creatures like the White Walkers, but it was mostly the humans. You didn't have all that like elves, orcs, and stuff.
So in AP World's History, my professor was telling us that Star Wars I always knew was about World War II, but he said Lord of the Rings was about World War I, and all of us were like, do tell. We're all ears. So J.R. Tolkien was in World War I for the British, and he wrote Lord of the Rings about not like any particular experience, but overall what his experiences were. Obviously put in like an allegory of the dense world that he built.
Yeah.
But I mean, he pulled from old folklore and stuff like that, right? So
I think he also pulled from a lot of like Christian kind of tales too and archetypes. Yeah.
Yep.
The good versus evil thing, like
for sure. But after watching 1917 in particular, I saw the connections very strongly.
Really?
You know? Yeah, think about it.
Because we watched that, and I didn't think that while it was in my mind. Like, if I watched it with that in mind, maybe I would have been thinking, but...
Right. You know how that movie's two people on a mission that they have to go over through that?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like an impossible mission.
Yep.
And they've got a team, like their squad, basically, like...
Right.
I wonder, do you think elves, orcs, hobbits, like, represent different, like... folks in
there's a bunch of essays and theories about all of that. He doesn't explicitly state that at all, but he did state that he based Lord of the Rings, at least the story from the Hobbit's perspective, on that, you know? But obviously the Shire is supposed to be the United
Safe,
Kingdom,
warm,
you know?
home, not war. Yeah. He's like, I just want to go home. But they still go through and have to do their mission, and then they eventually get to go home.
Right.
But it's interesting because Bilbo's never the same either. That's something with the ring, like kind of like the whole PTSD thing, like coming back, like and doing your mission, but you're never the same. Or Frodo. So. Well, Bilbo gave it to Frodo.
I think one of my favorite scenes in Lord of the Rings is the very intro where they explain what the ring is, and it shows the guy on the dragon with the ring on, just like fucking everyone up. And then the one dude stands up to him and kills him. That might be the coolest part of the entire trilogy, honestly.
That is really
and it's
cool.
in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's like a mystical representation of it, like one of those mythological like stories, kind of like it looks like that mythology, like personify or like put into a picture and story, kind of.
Right. So wait, you saw the new Star Wars by yourself as well, right?
I saw it a few times.
Really?
I saw it.
But the first time you went by yourself, right? Because I certainly did.
I forget if I saw it by myself the first time. I don't.
I think you told me you did.
No. The first time I saw it with my cousin Matt, actually, because I was just.
That must have been another movie you were telling me. Because I went to go see Solo by myself. That was the first time I ever went to the movies by myself. Then I went again this time. There was this old guy behind me that you could tell, like, he was probably 28 or something when the first Star Wars came out. I was laughing at the exact same things that he was laughing at that were like inside jokes for people who knew. And both of us were just there alone. It was super cool, though.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is.
No lie, though. Best part of that was right when the lights dimmed and it was like... I'm not even going to lie. Tears building up in my eyes. I was like, this is what I liked when I was 4, and it's coming out right now, and I'm here by myself. I care about this so much that I came here by myself.
It's like it stuck with me that so long. The impact.
Yeah, overall, I would say it's kind of like very obviously Disney's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and the visuals have never been better.
Yeah.
Astounding.
Sure.
Astounding, absolutely. The grittiness is missing, though. In The Mandalorian, they got it right. But in the movie, they did not. You know?
The grittiness as in, like,
it's too much of, like, a feel-good
too
story.
polished. Like, too Disney, where the good guys always... Yep. There is a little bit of tension with, like, what's his name? The dude that turns good.
Like, they used to cut people's fucking hands off and arms all the time.
Yeah.
It was gritty. Luke had to sleep in a goddamn tauntaun.
Yeah.
He just ripped open the guts.
That is true. It is Disney. It is done by Disney now.
Yeah, but I mean, Mandalorian, as I said, they're doing the grit for that.
Yeah, I like Mandalorian. I want to see more of that one. That was cool.
Me too.
Because it's so many, that one's so many options, because he just goes on these different missions, so it can always be something different. There doesn't have to be one continued plot line. But I liked what they did. I actually cried once or twice watching them. I think because I was a little bit stoned when I watched them both. But the part where...
They're all sentimental.
What's her name? Yeah. The one... What's it... Oh, I'm forgetting the names. What's the main girl's name?
Rey,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When she goes to Luke's island, when she's like ready to give up, she doesn't want to do the... like fight Darth Sidious or whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes there and like burns her ship and throws her lightsaber in, and Luke's ghost comes out and is like, oh, you should treat a Jedi's weapon better than that. And it's like, what's bothering you? What's wrong? Why are you here? She's like, oh, you stayed here. Like, I don't trust myself. Like, I think I'm going to lock myself here too, like you did. And he's like, I was an idiot. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, and then he was like, da-da-da, what's your biggest thing? And she's like, oh, I'm afraid. I know what to do, but I'm afraid to do it. And he's like, it's
that
the
line
destiny.
was from something, by the way. I know what I need to do, but I'm just afraid that I have to do it or something like that.
Yeah.
When she said that, I knew that was from some other movie. I haven't figured it out.
It is one of those kind of lines that just sounds like it's like been around, kind of.
I know it was in another movie though. Wait,
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Kylo Ren says that when he's killing Han Solo. He's like, I know what I have to do. I'm just afraid of like what I have to do or something like that, and then he kills him.
Wow.
Damn. Finally figured it out.
I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
there's
crazy.
a lot of kind of like hidden stuff, but at the same time, the old movies were so quotable. These, no quotes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That may be the biggest quote,
right.
and none of us even connected that, right?
Yeah, that quote is like, and then Luke goes, the destiny of every Jedi is to like face their fear, basically. Yep. And I was like, started tearing up a little bit.
Yep.
That was the quote of that movie, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there was actually another one from
I'm pretty
Leia
sure
had a good quote.
In this one was, what is dead may never die. Ironborn.
They made Sidious nasty looking in this one.
That was sick though.
Yeah.
Right? So wait, let's think about it. First Star Wars comes out, the main quote of that is like, the Force. Everyone's like, yes, the Force.
Yeah.
Then the fucking Empire Strikes Back comes out, and then he's like, no, I am your father.
Your father, yep.
That
That
is the
one was
most
so
quotable.
big.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
Yeah.
But I couldn't name more than 5 reachable quotes from the Disney franchise, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
That's the one thing that they've screwed up on besides the grittiness. They need more like very quotable things, which is hard to do, but they did it in the prequels, especially. Like the prequels were even more quotable throughout. Like the ones that were in the originals, very quotable, but only one or two. In the prequels, like, oh, hello there.
Yeah, and how they did like
memeable too, you know?
Because it was new stuff too. Like the droids were new and stuff, and like their
Right.
whole thing that was all like
Roger.
C-3PO. Yeah. But
What
they're
do you
milking
think-
it. I like they're bringing Star Wars back to new generation. Let them discover the old ones too.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm hyped for the Kenobi series.
Oh, I didn't know that's coming
yeah.
out. Is that like another Mandalorian kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Oh,
I like those
yeah.
series. I think Disney can do those better. Like
Yeah.
this series, because I like those cartoon ones they did back a little bit. Clone
Clone
Wars
Wars.
too. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah. You know what's crazy too for the Mandalorian? They don't use green screens. They made this room that's a screen in a circle around them so the actors can see and like point to something and it's all in camera.
Oh.
So they create these virtual worlds and as they're filming even there's someone sitting right at a computer. They're like, "Oh, we need to move this rock or make it bigger or something." They just drag the corner of it and it's bigger.
Wow.
But
That's crazy.
everything you see in that, like, you know the scene where they're over in the desert next to all those rocks on the speeders? That's the scene they show and like how they're explaining to do it. And they're literally just taking these rocks and like putting them places as the actors are sitting there. Or like standing and acting. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that it's so much better too because especially in the prequels where the actor was trying to act to something that wasn't there, you could tell, you know? But this time if the actor can look at something and point, "Oh, it's right there," and actually look at it, you know? Apparently even to stand right in the middle of the circle, it looks real, you know? It's almost like VR but on a screen.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Do they do any of that tiny world stuff? I forget what
What's that?
movies do that, but they build like I don't know if it's
the
a big city.
miniatures.
Yeah, the miniatures.
Yeah.
Do they do that? What movie does that?
That's-
There's like one that does
The
Game of
in-
Thrones do that or
all
like Lord
of-
of the Rings?
All of the original Star Wars and a lot of the prequels too, believe it or not. You know the scene in Clone Wars where they're stuck on the pillars and the monsters come out? Everyone's cheering. That was real.
Yeah.
That entire Coliseum was real and like
Wow.
pretty large. It was
Wow,
the size of like 2 beds probably.
that's cool.
All the people that were inside were real as well.
That's
there were all these
cool.
little things that would push it up and down.
Wow.
Yeah, George Lucas was obsessed with miniatures.
Yeah, miniatures are cool.
Then even in Lord of the Rings, when they bust down that wall into Mordor, that's a miniature too. But they slow it down whenever there's an explosion for a miniature because that's what makes it look big.
Huh.
Yeah. But
Neat.
the original Star Wars really pushed the limit for blue screen technology, especially
Yeah.
because they had all of these little things that they would put into the frame. That means they had to pass it like each time for those, but there was a sub process for each. So you'd have to film it with everything else excluded and then add that in on top, you know? So like instead of now we can put the backgrounds and then put something else in front of it and it won't block there, they had to put those in first and then fill in the backgrounds. So you had to do all of these different processes for it. So the scene that took up the most passes was one where it's literally like a second and a half where someone shoots down a TIE fighter and it crashes into an asteroid and creates another explosion. There was something like 450 passes needed for that single shot.
Wow.
And it lasted a second and a half or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah. They really put a lot into movies.
Yeah. The other cool thing going back to machine learning too is de-aging is now the thing. So
oh, yeah.
for The Irishman, they obviously had all of this footage of Al Pacino and Robert De Niro that they put into this machine learning in Premiere pretty much, and it would reference, okay, their faces pointed this way with the lighting over here. Okay, use that as a reference. It didn't put that on anything, they reconstructed and used it as like a basis for it. So they would
Yeah.
automate the things to control, but they wouldn't actually use it to like paint it, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy though.
It is
looks so
crazy.
real.
Yeah, you can do that's part of like lower dimensional representation of data. That's part of it.
Yeah, and
It's like
actors didn't
image
have to put the
creation,
dots on
basically.
either, you know?
Yeah, use like convolutional neural networks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is really cool. It's crazy what they can do, how they can recreate images and identify images too.
Yeah, and
how
I hope
much
that
computer
saves a
can
lot
pick
of
up.
money too, because the cheaper movies become to produce, the better movies will, like
True.
the whole blockade of Hollywood saying, okay, you just made a $7 million movie, now you're gonna do a $15 million one. That's okay. You're going through this process and a cycle, you know. But the dude that made Paranormal Activity, his budget was like peanuts compared, and he went through that and he was talking about that. He was saying, no, I don't want to increase my budget by $7.5 million more or whatever. I want to try to do each like that.
Yeah.
Because when you're forced to see the constraints, you're actually going to make something real, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like going back to the superhero movies and like action movies, how it's like they just put a buttload of money into effects and crazy like stimulating blow up scenes or action scenes and just a lot of like cinematography effects and not really like the just shooting a story. It's like all the extra special effect stuff, and that's probably where all the expensive stuff
Right.
goes into it.
Yeah, well, my consumer behavior professor, who was Korean, said the main reason that Hollywood spends so much on the visually stunning. We actually came back to this a lot in all the other media classes I took after, but he was the first person to say that. He was saying, for a big movie to work that well, it needs to be visually stunning for people that don't speak English. Because even when you put subtitles over or voiceovers,
Yeah.
it's not going to work as well. But
Yeah.
like the Transformers was maybe
Yeah,
the first one that was
Transformers.
really, okay, don't care about anything, let's just make it look crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I would say Transformers 3 if anything.
Yeah. They threw
Really-
they threw a
yeah.
ton of money at all that effect stuff. Yeah.
Yep, and then the Avengers too.
Yeah.
But the thing about those movies, they're the only movies to make me fall asleep. And movies don't make me fall asleep. Here's why they make me fall asleep. You know, well, I mean, you don't know the intricacies of what the ending will be, but say there's like a climax. You know that the hero is probably going to win, villain's probably going to lose.
Yep.
But here's the thing. There's a part in the Avengers where they're just like tossing the main thing around that it's called a MacGuffin too, where there's like a thing that everyone's trying to get but isn't on screen. That's called a MacGuffin.
Oh, so like the
R2D2
cube in
is the
Transformers.
MacGuffin in Star Wars. The MacGuffin for Avengers is that
The stones.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So when that's finally on screen and it's the climax and there's all the fucking crazy shit going around, like, yeah, it's a crazy like technological advance to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when that's all going on, they're like, oh, the Hulk has had 30% less screen time than whoever. Let's toss him the rock. And then you're just not invested.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just it's plug and play at that point.
Huh, that MacGuffin thing's interesting because the Lord of the Rings, you got the ring, Transformers, you got the cube.
But it's always on screen. That's like the main thing that they keep showing, you know?
So it's not a MacGuffin if it's on the screen like that?
Like, yeah, I guess it's technically it because a lot of other people are talking about it. But here's
Yeah.
the reason that I wouldn't give that as an example. That is shown on screen all the time. And that's the main part of the story. Whereas a movie that's based on something else, but there's one thing that everyone's arguing, and it's like the main reason that everything is happening, but it's not on screen. It's like whatever events you have going doesn't really necessarily matter unless that person gets what they want with that thing over there. That's not happening right now, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But here's the thing with Lord of the Rings. Everything that they're doing, even when it's not shown, is still based on only that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything's moving about destroying the ring and yeah.
Right.
Sauron.
Right. All right, Joe. This was nice. We should do this again.
This was nice for sure.
Yeah.
It's just cool conversations. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dr.
Connect the
Zappatelli.
podcast. Thank you for having me
Absolutely.
in the studio.
Cheers, my dude.
Cheers. Salud. Saúde.
Enjoy the rest of your quarantine.
De nada. Yeah, stay healthy. I'll be selling the moisturizer, hand sanitizer
Yeah, hook me
blend
up.
soon.
Name your price.
Yeah, I kind of wanna see if there's a little market for it. I think it'd be cool.
It's hard to get it to him right now.
Yeah,
Can't open
yeah.
a store.
I'd have to do it kind of underground. So if you're on this podcast, email Durs, let them know you're interested. I'll do like $5 a bottle. Get you a bottle. If you have any bottles, send them my way. I'll fill them up.
10 for that at least to home make me a bottle. That shit was nice.
$10. I'll do $10. Yeah, I actually haven't thought about
real cheap.
because the ingredients are like kind of value. Like castor oil has some value to it. It's not cheap like isopropyl alcohol, so it probably would have a little more of a price. And maybe I'd mess with the formula.
It's homemade by a doctor.
Well, I'm not a doctor yet. I have 3 years at least of work to do.
You are in my eyes.
Thank you.
All right, Joe. Cheers, buddy.
Adios, amigo. Cheers.
Goodbye, everybody.